Actually, met Snoop on the Word. Apparently, we're in the dog pound, so we're cool.
Welcome. We are Neil,
Luke and Dave.
340-somethings reminiscing on the runners and riders of 90s guitar music.
We look at the bands who soundtracked our youth on both sides of the pond and interview some of our heroes from the bands that defined a generation.
You'll hear about the good, the bad and the ugly of 90s guitar music.
This podcast is Stupid and Contagious. Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast. Episode 8, who'd have thunk it?
It's gone quickly. Yeah, they're building up.
Today we're having a chat with Sid Rainey from Compulsion. It's a really good one, actually. When I was listening back to it yesterday, it's a really good chat. I really enjoyed it.
For this episode, I was just wondering if you'd not mentioned the Lighthouse family.
Yeah, you got it.
Noted. You've not a problem, mate. Luke, explain your T-shirt, because, you know, I don't know what the fuck it means.
Hakuna Kulala. So this is a new T-shirt. Actually, it's the first time I've worn it. They are a sister label of another record label from Uganda called Nege Nege Tapes that I'm obsessed with. And this is the sister label, Hakuna Kulala. And they basically make underground electronica and hip-hop out of Uganda and the surrounding area. And it's probably my favourite label in the world right now.
Yeah, mine too. I mean, I get a lot of stuff from, what is it, Nege Nege?
Nege Nege. Well, this is Hakuna Kulala, but yeah, there's no separating them really, you know. For me, like Hakuna Kulala does a bit more like the cutting edge stuff, kind of the up and coming acts. But yeah, just really good stuff, you know.
Dave, you're into Ugandan hip hop, aren't you?
Well, I can't honestly say I am, but maybe now it's been mentioned, you can put a couple on the playlist.
I mean, I think the Lighthouse family got a lot of their influences from Ugandan hip hop. Is that right, Luke?
They have been cited by a number of artists on the label, yeah.
Yeah, they're cited as a band that they should never try and sound like.
I think you just broke your promise to Dave already, Neil.
It took 1 minute.
Let's get into this week's episode, which is Sid Rainey from Compulsion. Luke, do you want to give us your usual rundown?
I will. Okay, so indie punk band from Dublin in Ireland. Although I think they got, in some parts, they got a hint of grunge to them, like a UK grunge sound, I think, in some of their songs.
When I was listening back to the two albums yesterday, it's fucking, the guitar's really driving, isn't it? It's real, it is punk.
It's good. I think the Domestique tune on Comforter, it just sounds like a Nirvana song, like a good Nirvana song.
See, I was listening to the other album, Future is Medium, and on that one, I think they're even more the guitars are even more in your face. It's a really huge sounds and albums, both of them.
Yeah, I was surprised how much I enjoyed that second album. I mean, even I knew the first album, and I thought they were quite a cool band. Not that I knew much about them, but I don't know, they had that coolness about them. I guess everyone's got a different idea of what cool is, but
what's yours? What's your benchmark of cool, Dave?
it's hard to put into words. I don't know.
Are the Lighthouse family cool?
They're not cool, but you know, they know how to write a good tune.
I have to agree to disagree on that one.
So they're not cool and they can't write a decent tune. But yeah, carry on about your cool comment anyway, Dave.
I don't know, and I don't want to. I am going to insult Mega City 4, but
oh god, just leave it.
I don't know.
It's just, you had a whole. Just drop it, will you?
What's your problem with them, man?
That's the thing with it's the vocals. It's just so much stronger with Compulsion than it.
Well, it's a different kind of music, though. Isn't
it is. Yeah,
it is different kind of music. Yeah, I guess I just prefer Compulsion.
I do get what you're saying, and like we said last week, it's all subjective, and we kind of all like the same things or the same. But I wish you'd just fucking give them a break. Jesus, pick on someone else.
Seriously. All right, so they formed in 1990 as a band called with two E's, The Amazing Colossal Men. And right. I won't go into it too much because in the interview you'll hear that whole incredible story.
That's what I mean. The interview's great. It just does a real, you know, if you didn't know anything about him or Compulsion, then by the end of the interview you definitely will.
Yeah, basically, yeah, signing to Virgin, being taken over to LA. This, well, I won't go into it because he tells it much better than I ever could. But yeah, that's basically what happened. Although, you know, even like going back before that, Sid was in other bands and stuff. He was in a band called Sid and the Stone Crushers, which is a band name I like. And anyway, the Amazing Colossal Men, well, according to Sid, they kind of have like a Doors sound, kind of like more kind of a garage, kind of psychedelic sound to them compared to Compulsion. Anyway, it didn't work out. And in 1992, they basically, it was pretty much the same people, but they changed to Compulsion.
A rebrand.
Yeah, so made up 4 people. So Joseph Mary, stage name, on vocals. Today's star Sid Rainey on bass, Garrett Lee on guitar, and a guy called Jan on drums. Yeah, and that's Compulsion, basically. I went down a rabbit hole because I was trying to go back as far as possible. So I was like, okay, the Amazing Colossal Men. So then I found out like this other one, like Sid and the Stone Crushers. And then apparently the singer out of Sid and the Stone Crushers was a guy called Fran Healy. But he wasn't the same Fran Healy out of Travis. There was 2 people in rock and roll called Fran Healy. It got me stuck for like half an hour yesterday trying to get to the bottom of it.
But Fran, is that short for Francis?
But again, it's not going to be a common name, is it? Maybe I'm wrong and they are the same guy. I couldn't find any evidence they were the same person, but there you go.
Dave, was there anyone called Fran Healy in the Lighthouse family?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, they signed to indie label after being on a big label and not working out. One Little Indian, which is now called One Little Independent in these more enlightened times. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, gotcha, yeah.
Changed its name a couple of years ago.
Why not One Little Native American?
It's not got the same ring to it, I don't think.
We talk about in the interview, but they were put in with the new wave of the new wave movement. With
doesn't mean anything, does it?
Not really. As I said in the interview, it's kind of like it was made up by the enemy to try to like create some kind of non-existent scene and to sell newspapers. But like I said to Sid, I mean, I loved it and it gave me something to hold on to, and I you know, it was great. Smash, these Animal Men. I think like other bands, even like Elastica and Echo Billy were put in there at some points, I think. Yeah,
we should probably go more into it at some point. Maybe do a wang on it or something.
But it's talking about punk, right? New wave of the new wave.
Yeah.
Were the Lighthouse family part new wave of the new wave? I can't remember.
Would you put them in that?
I think they were the new wave of the new wave of the new wave.
New wave of the new shit.
So yeah, 2 albums. Comforter in 94, reached 59 in the UK charts. Just great tunes, right? Should we talk about that now? Really good.
We can, because I can tell you, I know exactly where and when I bought it. Dave, you weren't there, but Luke, do you remember we went to London with our girlfriends at the time?
Yes, I do. Very well. We stayed in one of the girlfriend's father's school or something, right?
It's correct. Like it was in Knightsbridge, I think. It was very sort of not us. We were just all sort of indie kids, weren't we?
Do you remember we went out? Do you remember we went out? So because we were like scruffy indie grunge fucking losers, and at the time our girlfriends were, you know, attractive young ladies, and they had these like nice dresses on. Do you remember that? And we were walking out in the street, and this guy rode past on a bike, and he said, "You lucky bastards!" He just shouted at us.
He really did. I remember. Yeah, I had forgotten, but
I guess we were.
Yeah, definitely were. And yeah, it's on that trip. So that's when I remember I bought that and I Want to Kill Somebody, the single.
Right, the 12-inch.
No, I think I got
CD
them both
single.
on cassette. I think I got them both on cassette.
See, I totally remember you buying that I Want to Kill Somebody. I don't remember you buying Comforter at the same time.
Yeah, it's a similar time. Yeah, I just remember I love that album. I still do. I just think it's a really great album.
It's just full of great tunes, right?
Yeah, and it's quite different, isn't it? They have got quite a unique sound, I think. I do think they have.
Yeah, for me, More Monarchy is, well, we talk about it in the interview, but it's a classic. I really like Air Raid for the Neighbours as well on that album. I don't know why. It really, I don't know, really I don't know, it's just one of my
No,
favorites.
it's a great song. It's one of my favourite because it's got that sort of speaky, shouty bit, hasn't it? Before
it kind of slows it down a bit, but it's good. Yeah.
No, it's really good. The whole album's just really a really great album.
Dave, favourite tracks? Was Ocean Drive on Comforter, Dave?
Dave?
Not engaged with that.
He's not good.
Just asking. So, yeah, Dave, have you had a listen to Comforter?
Yeah, I like that one. The only one that comes to mind that's obvious is the obvious one. Is it called the Mall one?
I wish we'd asked him more about the lyrics. I've always assumed it was like an anti-US imperialism.
But he'll probably be watching or listening to this, so maybe he can tell us in the comments. Sid, if you can let us know what the lyrics to Mall Monarchy are about, and if Luke's right or wrong.
So, second album, The Future is Medium, came out in 1996. Listen to the interview to find out what happened to that. But yeah, get more of the same. I think the sound changed a little bit more experimental. Some kind of electronic-y bits in there, a bit more poppy, I think, in some parts as well. But still that kind of, driving guitar, like you say.
I would have said it's more grungy than the first.
Yeah, I would as well, I think. Obviously, I'd listened to Comforter a lot, but then when I listened to I haven't listened to The Future is Medium that much, but I have listened to it quite a lot lately. But yeah, that guitar sound that they got it's crazy. It's really quite unique, really driving. Kind of agree with Dave. I think The Future is Medium was maybe a little bit more grungy.
They kind of adopted like a whole like kind of look for the album. On the album cover, they've all got red hair. They kind of all put alongside like a Kraftwerk kind of style, and they're kind of all dressed in either in white or all in black or whatever on stage. And it was a cool aesthetic,
Yeah, I mean, he asked us in the interview if we ever went to see them, and you said you might have seen them at a festival or something, but yeah, I never did get to see them.
It was quite interesting. I don't want to give too much away, but when he said they toured with the Manics,
he's giving it away now.
And I thought maybe they were going to play with the Manics, and that gig we didn't go to in Devon.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Blew down.
That's what
I thought. So I researched it.
Yeah,
it wasn't them.
Who was it?
Who was the support band?
Someone called Credit to the Nation.
Oh, wow. Well, he mentioned them as well in an interview. They were on the same label, yeah.
And Blaggers ITA.
Oh, really?
Blaggers ITA, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's who we would have seen.
Teenage Sensation.
Yeah, man. Great tune. Yeah. We better tell the story because we're talking about it as if people know what happened. You better tell the story.
Well, we went on holiday to Paynton in 1990.
Mentioned in last week, was it?
I think it's the Levellers one we spoke about it.
Yes, you were right.
It was 1993, right? Yeah, 93. So it was our first holiday away from parents. We went down to Paynton with Luke's family tent.
It's a big old canvas thing. It was, yeah.
I don't think kids today appreciate what putting up a tent used to entail.
It was so heavy, wasn't it? It was like metal poles and yeah.
So we got this massive tent all the way down to Paynton, and we got this spot in this field. The tent survived a good 3 days. Was it 3-4 days? First bit of wind.
Oh, it was a proper thunder. This is a proper storm. It was terrible. Driving wind, howling gales, thunder, lightning. It was a full-on apocalyptic storm.
But I think most tents can handle those sort of conditions. But this one, sadly not.
So we had tickets to see the Manics at Paynton either the next day or like 2 days later. But the tent was completely destroyed, so we had no choice but to pack up and go home. And then on the way home, we were in trouble as well. I don't know how much we can tell of this story.
Let's just tell the bit that we can tell. We got stopped by the transport police.
We were travelling on child tickets. I was asked my date of birth, and I just added a year instead of took a year off.
They were onto us pretty quick,
and we were terrified.
They were pretty harsh on us,
and we were carrying some things we probably shouldn't have been carrying.
Dave got strip searched.
We see that.
They did confiscate Dave's copy of The Lighthouse Family and said no one should be carrying this sort of stuff around.
Neil, that's an anachronism.
Like, as you can see, he's still bitter about it.
I genuinely think that would have been the best gig that we ever went to. Motorcycle Emptiness, You Love Us, all of that.
Yeah.
It would have been amazing. Would have been amazing.
It would have been good. Yeah.
And I guess we thought we'd catch them another time. Well, we did. I saw them at Nebworth, but it wasn't quite the same.
Yeah, same. You'll hear an interview how they were dropped by their label, and basically they all went off in different directions. So Jan joined China Drum for a little while. Garrett became Jackknife Lee and became a pretty famous kind of electronic musician and producer.
Produced some Snow Patrol albums.
And U2, like big stuff.
Did you U2 as well, did he? Yeah, became quite a prolific, well, he still is quite a prolific producer. Not sure which Snow Patrol albums. I think he did Final Straw and possibly the one after.
Today's guest, Sid, went into TV. You might know this, Dave, because your kids were probably about that age. He made a TV show called Underground Ernie. Main character voiced by Gary Lineker.
We were in Sweden, weren't we?
Oh, you probably were. That's true. Maybe he can confirm it, but from what he said, it sounds like he kind of gave up music until very recently.
I just think it's great the way he takes us on that journey. When Compulsion finished, that was pretty much it. Here's Sid Rainey from Compulsion. Enjoy. All right, hi, Sid. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
I think it'd be a good place to start would be if you can just sort of introduce yourself, tell us a bit about how the band came together, the early sort of days of the band.
I'm Sid, and I was on the other side of the stage playing bass guitar, and I met Garrett and Joey in '87,
right?
Ish. And we had a band in Dublin called the Mason Colossal Men. And we were like, I don't know, 18.
Right.
On 18.
Wow.
And well, my son Gareth just gone 18. Joey was a little bit older. And that kind of, we cut our teeth with that band, and it just kind of rolled along. And once we kind of started to mature a little bit, we kind of went, this is really not what we want to be doing. We want to be doing so we shook that off.
What kind of music was that band? What kind of music were you playing?
It was kind of like I don't know. It started off being kind of like Doorsy type stuff.
All right.
And went into kind of more psychedelic type of stuff. Then ended up being
wow,
a little more polished, So it was a sequence of things that kind of didn't really match up, but it was just we were just kind of growing up a little bit. You know what I mean? We're just kind of like we're 18 with a record contract. Like that's not right.
You already had a record contract, right?
Well, we had one fairly quickly, and and we were like, uh-oh. So it was a bit like it was deep end stuff. Like there you go, in the deep end.
Yeah.
So we kind of got after riding that little wave for a while, because it's kind of when stuff like that happens to you, you kind of go with it. You don't think about it at the time. It's like whoa, because it's something kind of. So we just rode that for a while until we kind of woke up a bit and decided that what they wanted us to play or what they wanted to hear wasn't what we wanted to play. So we ended up in the States, just completely rethinking everything. And we were in Sunset Sound Studios, and by this time Jan had joined us.
Yeah,
and Jan, his drumming made a lot of sense, if you know what I mean. So it was that's when everything kind of really clicked into the place.
How did you end up in the States? Like you're still quite young at the time. How did you end up in the States? Still quite young at the time, right?
We had another record ready to go, and a producer called Nico Bolas, who was was at the time Neil Young's producer and many others, and he was Neil Young had the Volume Twins, I think, and it was Nico and Neil Young who used to mix things really really loud.
Yeah.
So Nico liked us, and he booked us into Sunset Sound Studios in Los Angeles for 4 months.
Wow.
Rock and roll lifestyle. Wow.
we Scott Thurston from the Stooges joined us.
Wow.
On keyboards.
Yeah.
And we're in Sunset Sound just playing live. So we're just in a circle in the room just playing live, and we recorded 26 songs in 2 weeks. So we had like another 3.5 months left on the bill. So
did you enjoy yourselves?
We worked away around that. The budget was rejigged, and when record company people came to visit us, we looked busy. We all like, we see in the studio tomorrow. We're supposed to be there, and we just we wrote it, and it was great justice though, because I remember a record company guy coming over, right, and we had breakfast, and we were a little bit hungover, and we were just sitting in this little diner, and when you're not feeling the best, just eat light. And so Garrett had some strawberries, right?
Yeah.
And
rock and
afterwards, yeah, I know, right? But we didn't hear this part. Afterwards, the record company guy said to our manager, "What are these guys doing? There's Garrett eating strawberries for breakfast." And he was just like, "Where are you? You can't even have strawberry for breakfast, and you think we're living a high life." So we had justice serves a not little flatter.
Oh right, they thought you were living that. It wasn't like you weren't being rock and roll enough. It was because they were.
No,
it was.
Look at them; they're eating strawberries.
I thought you were taking a piss by eating strawberries.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Shouldn't have eaten strawberries after they do the work. It was like it was really it was a bit
strawberry police.
So strawberry police
again.
So we came back after doing that record, and nothing happened with us. So that was our kind of cue to get away from Virgin Records, and
but did it come out?
No, thank God.
No, it didn't even come out.
No, it wasn't even. It was mixed kind of roughly, and they just fell. The record company kind of fell apart, and it was after that. So, so that was our cue to kind of exit. So we did.
Is there any? Can you listen to any of that anywhere, or was it just completely scrapped? Do you still have copies of it, or?
Oh, I've got copies of it. Yeah. I mean, I think we all have copies of it, but I can show you a couple of tracks of that. That's quite.
That would be great. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's because what we ended up doing there was a mixture of what we started off doing in Dublin, and a bit of what we wanted to do in the future.
Right. So what you were becoming is Compulsion.
But it wasn't fully formed, so it was just kind of 26 songs of all sorts of quite a few different angles. And that was it. We came back to London. That didn't happen. It fell apart, and we went and just took some time off, and then just regrouped and asked ourselves, do we want to do this together again and go forward? And the answer was all around absolutely yes. Let's go back to work. So that's what we did. Go back to work, away from those A&R people that didn't really understand what you were about in the first place. And
just
away from people who were looking at your hair going, it's
checking your strawberry
checking your strawberry. Yeah.
So you come back.
Okay.
8 strawberries to your heart.
And then after that was just Compulsion. After that,
Yeah.
So so with Compulsion, you signed to one little independent, as we have to call them those days. I mean, how did it feel like to be part of that? The Sugar Cubes and the Shaman were taking off and stuff. How was that?
Well, you just mentioned Sugar Cubes. Sugar Cubes are fantastic. Straight away, it was. Didn't even know they were on the same label until we kind of, it was until much further in. I was like, oh my God, okay, you're right. Sugar Cubes are just brilliant.
Yeah.
Sugar Cubes, we were like the Icelandic kind of Pixies, you know what I mean?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
You know, they were just way ahead of their time, and yeah, it was just wonderful. And then Skunk and Nancy were there.
That's
Same
right.
label.
Yeah. Chumbawamba, Credit to the Nation.
Rock.
Yeah.
Daisy Chainsaw.
Daisy Chainsaw. Yes, it Love Your Money. What a great track that was, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So did that feel exciting to be part of that kind of
It felt better. It felt like you were looking at, you know, we're finally kind of amongst our own people that actually didn't look at your split ends and send you to a hairdresser.
yeah. Even though, I mean, like Compulsion, the music was pretty different to those bands, right?
Well, do you guys know Rick Lennox?
No.
Rick was A&R at One Little Indian, and Rick signs Skunk and Nancy and us, and I'm not entirely sure whether he signed Daisy Chainsaw, but probably did. So Rick had, like, you know, had a kind of nice little kind of rounded kind of you know, little group of bands that he discovered. So yeah, so it was a great label. It was like, you know, Derek, who owns the label, was just like, you know, whatever. I mean, he managed Bjork,
right?
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, and she's still with them, right? She stayed there the whole course, right? It's amazing.
That says something, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, well, then you know, and what? Yeah. But then, like, you know, to jump way forward, and then when everything kind of imploded on itself, like, you know what I mean, like, they still let the accountants come in at the end of the day, like, you know what I mean? So not that indie.
Right. Well, maybe we'll get to that later. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Huh.
So did you relocated to London at that point, was it?
Oh yeah. We moved to London in '89.
Okay, so that was quite early on.
Yeah, very early on, and my God, we're there. Well, I was there until 2009.
Yeah, playing a lot of gigs in the early days.
That's all. It was only about playing live.
Yeah, I mean, because it sounds like you got signed fairly early doors. So I guess that is, you can only really do that from playing a lot of gigs and people coming and seeing you, right?
Yeah, we just played all the time. We toured and toured, and you know, sometimes we kind of toured with people that really didn't suit. You know, we shouldn't have been on the same bill, but we still
like who?
Yeah. Give us some stories.
Stories. Like, give me a prompt. What kind of stories do you want?
Just give us some bands that you thought, what are we doing with these guys, sort of thing. Just give us an idea.
Oh, I can't do that now. Come on.
You don't have to name names.
It's all right.
I can tell you a story. I can tell you one story.
Go on, come on.
That happened the same time we were doing the American album. When we kind of got there and like got set up and got chatting and blah blah, it was time to go and, you know, tool up with strings and guitar picks and whatever else you want. So we went to this little shop called Fred's, West Hollywood. Fred's Guitar, rare guitar. And Nico kind of went, Sid, this is Fred. We're all in there. You know, it was a guitar shop, so it was myself and Gar really mooching around the place. And he said, this is Fred, Richard, this is Jackson, this is da. And I shook their hands and went off to get my strings and picked up a set of strings or box strings, and kind of realized, they don't have the ones I want. So I says, Jackson, is there any chance you could change? Is there any chance you could get these 95s? And Nika goes, Jackson doesn't work here, Sid. And I went, oh, okay. And this guy was just looking at me like this, kind of like a teacher. And when he got to the car, he just turned around to me. He's like, do you know who you just asked to change your strings? I said, nope. He says, Jackson Brown. I said,
whoa.
I was like,
great story.
I was like, who's Jackson Brown? So yeah, so
if you're 18, right? Why wouldn't I didn't know Jackson Brown was when I was 18, right? Why would you? You know? It's...
Oh, exactly. Why would you? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So
yeah.
So I don't put Nash and change the strings.
Great.
So
yeah. So
So that what sort of venues were you playing? Was it you? So you were touring all around the country at this point, were you? It wasn't just London.
Yeah, all around the country, around Europe, America. We did a lot as Compulsion, a lot.
Yeah.
We just constant touring.
Was it difficult to sustain that, like night after night? You had a pretty good reputation for being intense.
Yeah,
I remember one. I just remember one tour that was very tiring, and that was popularly itself in the States.
Nice.
That was a tough tour, but it was great fun at the same time. So,
what was the tour? Carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, it was just it was, we were kind of like that's what you do, right? When you're like a band like that, you play live, and we recorded live. The first record, Comforter, was like that cost us about 600 quid.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was a double album at the end of it, at the end of it, we recorded that in a place called Stone Room in Shepherd's Bush with Ian Capel, who's brilliant. And so it's all live. We just went in, and then of course, just a couple of overdubs here and there, and blah blah blah. But it was mainly in and hammer out all the tracks live, backing tracks and use.
Yeah, were you getting big audience? Were you getting big audiences in the States when you're going out to play around there as well?
I mean, the answer to that really is yes and no.
Yeah, very.
Yes, in the big major cities, in the major towns, there was a lot of interest and curiosity about us. And then we did here's the other end of the spectrum. We did a gig in Atlanta, I think it was, and Weezer or something were playing the same night. Not that it made a difference, because but just that the promoter says, "Oh well, Weezer's playing." Well, what they had done was they booked us into a venue that was like about, I don't know, 1,500 people, and 27 showed up.
Oh wow,
so that's a difficult one.
So we brought them all up on stage. That wasn't difficult for us. We were like, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Not our fault.
Yeah.
So we're still going to have our little gig. So
so
we brought the entire audience up on stage, and there was plenty of room, believe me.
Yeah.
And there was a really cool dressing room. And so we brought loads of bing bags out on stage and just said, you tell us what you want us to hear.
Oh, that's a good. I think that's the best way to deal with something like that. I just embrace the situation.
Yeah.
Always look at the bright side, huh?
That's it, man. That's it.
I think like the first thing, like when the first song we heard was More Monarchy, right, Neil? And when that came out, we loved it, didn't we? We were
classic
playing that constantly, right, in each other's bedrooms, basically, weren't we?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about it? Because it's big one for us.
It was believe it or not, it was kind of, I mean, More Monarchy was one of the earlier songs we ever kind of did.
Yeah.
What more can I say about it? Really, it's like, I remember we did our own video for it in the beginning. Did we do a video for it? What did we do in the States? We do what was it released over there? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I mean, it was just that was just one of the first songs we kind of penned out, and it was kind of it was. We thought, well, I remember thinking at the time it was just a very simple tune, really. It's just like it'll. And my God, like, even to this day, people just like still talk about the More Monarchy, and when you're, as I say, when you live close, the closer you are to the church, the further you are from God.
Yeah.
So we, you don't see what you don't hear anything. Yeah, I mean, songs have a life of their own. Yeah, and it's not to you after that, after they're written and recorded.
Yeah. What was the writing process like in Compulsion? Was it like a group effort? You just came together and wrote the songs?
We all came. We rehearsed a hell of a lot, and it was just all based on simple ideas, and just hammering them out in rehearsal rooms. Just like I mean, rehearsal was. It was like it was very important to us because not only was it us keeping our our little heads together, which is important for any little gang to kind of like always meet up, always catch
right.
So we were always meeting up in the rehearsal room, and so that's how it all happens. Everything just happens in those little rooms, just bashing things out, playing for hours.
I mean,
it's interesting you use the word gang there. You got a real sense of like a gang aesthetic with Compulsion, like the same color hair and all in white. It was I always felt you seemed like a gang. Was that like a part of it?
Well, I mean, it was never intentional. We weren't like to be like but I mean, but it became so kind of, I guess. Well, for me personally, it was the gang. It was my gang, and that's why I wasn't too pushed to kind of even pick up the guitar after everything went down, because I did it with the guys. I couldn't imagine. I just couldn't imagine having the same relationship with any other group of people.
I think that's
the band situation. Where you can't have egos can fly around. And my God, I've met egos that shouldn't even be walking. You know what I mean? It's like people who are way ahead of themselves.
I'm not going to ask you to name any again.
Just calm down there, lad. You know what I mean? My God. And and people take themselves incredibly seriously without really checking in on what the old talent meter reads.
We spoke to Jerry from Mega City 4, and he said a similar thing, that after the band sort of imploded, well, not imploded, but just came to an end. And it's quite a sort of period of what do we do now sort of thing, because Mega City 4 was his band sort of thing. So,
great band. It's a great band. I think you can tell the gangs from that there's certain bands you just know they can't exist without each other. You know what I mean? Really, it's a fully formed sound when those people are behind the wheel, and that's just the way it's always going to be. One person missing from that band, gone. It's not the same thing, and that's what we had. We had that locked in, and that's rare. I think it's rare. I mean, look, for us, it was fairly. Like we had a lot of growing up to do as well. So it wasn't all, didn't all fall into place very simply and very easily. But it became that. It became a very it became a great place to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with kind of subgenres and youth movements and subcultures and things. What I am. As I nerdily put all my records in. I've got dividers. That's how nerdy I am about it. How did you feel about the new wave of the new wave movement, which was made up by enemy journalists to sell newspapers?
It was awful. That's
awful. Interesting. I'm going to counteract that, because as a kid, as like a 15-year-old kid, I loved it. Because I wasn't there in the first wave of the old wave of the new wave, and I loved having this group of bands that I was into all of them. It gave me something to hold on to. But how was it for you being lumped into this nonsense? Genre label?
What happened was, apart from it being a terrible title, it's a terrible shelf to be put on, because the name is just it's awful. But it gave the wrong impression of what the pool of bands. From speaking from our point of view, it gave people. We didn't want to be in that part of the pool at all. We weren't. Because we were kind of 3 Irish guys and 1 Dutch guy. There was always they're Irish, Anyways, so we weren't part of that. We weren't really accepted as.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't get rid of us because we were we put our boots in the ground and that was it. But we weren't. We certainly weren't favored amongst a lot of bands, and that was fine because I over the years, and definitely in hindsight, you can and especially like, you know, every week someone contacts me about Compulsion. Every week I get something.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And it is. It's kind of, you know, it's kind of like it makes it feel like it's not so old, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
Yeah.
That was the 90s, God's sake. Jesus.
Yeah, but you know, I still regularly put Comforter on, you know, but it's still one of my go-to albums. It's just, if it's a good album, it's a good album, right?
If it still fits, then that's cool.
That's right. Yeah, More Monarchy, still one of my favorite tracks.
So you said you didn't want to be put in with the new wave, but I think you kind of distanced yourself from the punk label as well at the time. What did you want to be?
Just want to be yourselves. I didn't want labels. Just, we had a title that was called Compulsion, and that's all we wanted to be, was that, just being kind of left alone to be like that, or to be that thing that it wasn't made up. Like, I mean, this was kind of like, you know, we did the music that we did produced was, I mean, from instrumentals to fucking, you know, things are like 160 BPMs. You know what I mean? We're like, from one end of the spectrum. I mean, we like in rehearsals, we would play just instrumental songs. We would play prog rock songs. We would play like fucking hot chocolate songs. We would play, we just jammed along with loads of things. And I'm going off track now.
That's good.
So, yeah,
so what bands were you listening to at that time? What were you into?
Well, we always Pixies were always a favorite of ours. We looked at that time. We're getting, there's a lot of Dun Line Down were great. Love those guys. Remember Dun Line Down?
I remember the name. Don't think I really much.
I don't think so. No.
At that, I mean, it's really hard to remember what I was listening to back then. But you know, and the other part of that is like, you do get so caught up in what you're doing yourself. Like, you don't listen to too much music when you're actually producing.
A lot of musicians say that. Yeah.
Did you say that the Comforter was done on a fairly low budget? Did you say that?
Yeah,
600 quid, did you say?
I mean, that album, it's a huge sounding album. Like, it sounds really well produced. That you know,
that was all that entire record was recorded live back once again in the studio.
That's crazy.
Guitar, bass, drums. Then back out, put some guitars on and vocal. That's it. That's the sequence.
That's crazy. It's just such a great sounding album, you know.
You know, then there are songs there that we did in one take, and every time we do something in one take like that, you just feel like a fraud. You feel like, and just like, it's grand.
Yeah. Do we need to do some more, or you start panicking?
Do you remember any? Do you remember any examples of a one-take song that's on that album?
Probably More Monarchy is definitely one. I was Basket Case is another one. Yahtzee Danger probably was a one taker.
That's incredible.
There was quite a few that we could just nail.
They were like the biggest songs on the album, right? That's really interesting. I saw Basket Case was renamed in America. Is that because of Green Day?
I think that was part of it. Yeah. Once again, I have to remember this, and
it's all right.
Part of it. And then we did a video for it with a guy called Adam Bernstein, I think, who was a director, and he I think he went on and did like I think he did like he went on music videos, and he did Breaking Bad.
All right.
So,
wow.
So he wants to.
In good.
So he had us. He had us in, and we did this video for Basket Case. Sure, it was Basket Case. Was it Basket Case? Yes, it was. I think it was Basket. It was called Delivery over there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Delivery.
It was. Yeah, but I think that was, we did like a video with Adam Bernstein, and it was a talk show, and it was Robert Downey Sr. was who was banned from his talk show in the States. So we had him in the video fronting this fake talk show, which had all sorts of kind of guests on it. So it had like, you know, like the usual things like, you know, cheating couples and Elvis impersonators.
Sure.
And so I was an Elvis impersonator on it. And then it had Nazis, like, you know, in a talk show setting, and Jan was involved in dressed up as a girl. And so we all play these little characters in this video, and the video was banned because it had Nazis in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So these things just kept happening to us, like it lumped in with the crowd, banned videos.
Still publicity though, right?
Yeah. So that was that.
So
Yeah.
when you recorded, going back to recording Comforter, I guess the reason you could do it so quickly and in live takes was just because you were playing so much at the time, right? It's just
Yeah. We were afraid not to play, you know what I mean? We're afraid not to be good live. We're like, but everyone should be, you know.
Yeah.
You should be absolutely scared shitless. Because if you can't do it, you can't do it. You can't do it. And the funny thing is, you know, you can, like, you know, I've got a little studio here and stuff like that. You can record a track at home and live doesn't cut the mustard. So, like, you know, it's a different beast playing live and recording. That's
yeah, you were renowned for the live shows, so that was when it come across.
It showed,
right?
Yeah. Did you guys have to see any shows? Did you?
Well, we're trying to think. I don't think so. Maybe on like a festival.
That's
we can't remember either.
We're frauds.
No. I don't think. Although I think I might have done it, like Reading or something like that. I might have caught a set at Reading or something. I can't remember.
We would have definitely tried to, I'm sure, because
I'm sure we would have done. Yeah.
At the time, we were listening to bands like Smash as well, so I think you toured with
these Animal Men and
Those guys, the boys from Smash were really they're nice guys. The boys, I remember the guys from Smash.
Yeah,
and Shed Seven as well. There's another.
I saw you played with them. Yeah, how was that? That was quite early on, right?
They supported us, on a UK tour. I mean, we played with a lot of people. We played Smashing Pumpkins.
How was that? Was Billy Corgan as much of a dick as he comes across?
Well, it was Brixton Academy, and I just remember it being. I remember Joey being very irritated with him.
Okay.
And but I mean, I don't have any bad memories of it. Then we did a tour. We did a great tour with the Manics, which I think was Richie's last tour.
Wow. Amazing!
Wow.
The proper Manics, the early days.
And backstage, you know, the boys had their camouflage all over the place.
Like the balaclava stage, right? Yeah.
Richie had his own little room there. I think he had a parachute that used to hang.
Yeah.
And
I mean, those shows must have been incredible. I mean,
brilliant. Those brilliant fun.
Yeah. I mean,
really fun. We that was a great tour. We did great. Yeah, you know. I mean, to be quite honest, we hardly had a bad tour. You know. I mean, bad billing is one thing, but when we did actually, when we got up and running and got some good tours under us, we. You know, and of course we toured with Puppet itself as well, in the UK, Europe, and the States. Yeah, did a lot.
Yeah,
like saying about get back to the records as well. Like, just what I was trying to say was like, you know, we weren't really afraid of playing instrumentals. You know, we weren't like. I mean, there's Dick Dale, Rick and Ricky. It's like kind of surf. That's kind of like. And I think even things like Abbey Road, like Lost in Abbey Road, like, you know, like so we were like into like playing like whatever we thought was, you know, we like this. That's what we like put out. And like, you know, I remember one time we did we were doing a showcase for we signed to Interscope Records in the States. And that was always a blast going into that in there, because Death Row was on the left.
Oh, really?
Interscope was on the right.
Yeah.
There was a table in the center with two guys with briefcases and and newspapers, and in the briefcase were just two Uzis. Seriously, you walk in and you try
America.
So we used to go in there and like
proper gangster shit.
Get all the Death Row Records stuff. You know, get all the Death Row Records.
Nice.
That's where I got all the early Snoop stuff and like Eminem and
yeah.
You didn't meet any of them while you were there, Rob?
Oh, yeah, we met Snoop.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Actually met Snoop on the Word.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Apparently we're in the dog pound, so we were cool. So yeah, but we did a showcase in the whiskey a go in and we did it for Interscope, and all like, you know, it's a small little venue, but it's, you know, maybe 500 people, I don't know. Place was rammed, and so there were like, you know, so there was like the guy who owned the Interscope was there, and right beside him his best friend Gene Simmons.
Oh, wow.
All these people, and we had this roadie, he's a roadie, Joe, and he's a friend. We always had friends. We never had roadies.
Good.
Sure. So a really good friend of ours, and Joe had this big quiff, and so we said, "Look, what we're going to do? We're going to go out there, and the first song we're going to do is Dick Dale, Rick and Ricky."
Okay.
And Joe's going to play second guitar.
Okay.
So there's this big showcase. Our A&R man's there with his boss. His boss is there with his best friend, and all his best friends are all best friends there with their best friends, and they're all like music industry people. And we walk out. Joe walks out on stage as well. I see some. I don't even think our manager knew what we were doing. And next door we just go into the surf song.
The rockabilly surf, yeah.
Look from the audience. Some people in the audience are just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Can Joe play guitar?
Joe played like second guitar on it.
He could actually play, could he?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. So that's what we started off with, and then we went into Rape Jacket and stuff like that. So we're going to start this the way we want to start.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Make them listen to us.
Yeah.
So
do it on your terms.
That's great. Like that. Yeah, man. That's good shit. So going into the second album, you had some success all over the place. Was that a completely different process?
I think once again, we were very, very happy about that record. And we kind of felt that we made a really good second album. And we're incredibly proud of it. And that's when the Accountants came in.
This is the story.
Here we go.
So we were all set up to there was a marketing, the usual crap that goes on, right? Marketing thing, budget here and budget, blah blah blah, and posters made, and always like, So then the record industry decided it was like, going to implode, and that was it. Budget was pulled for marketing, budget was pulled for launch, and the album didn't keep up. I'd say they just probably dropped off a few copies in the shops by hand. At the end of the day, it got nothing. It got no support whatsoever.
Why was that decision taken, do you think?
Because the record industry was going down the tubes, and the accountants told the owners of the record company that they need to start slicing the pie a little bit and get rid of a few things. And our budget was one, and then that was it. After that, it was like it was like screw you type thing, you know. It was like it was very disappointing.
Yeah.
So no matter who you are, when you get a couple of thumps like that, it doesn't put you down, but it just makes you feel like, it's not worth it, really. You know, let's leave it at that. And we were like, Garrett was getting interested in, always being interested in the technology side of things.
Yeah, because he went on to produce some fairly big albums, didn't he?
Yeah,
Snow Patrol and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I remember when he met Snow Patrol. But once again, that was a marriage made for him. Like, and he deserves it, because that's where he wanted to sit.
Yeah,
and
But, so how did it feel after working so hard on an album and putting everything into it, and then it just being completely dropped like that?
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. But you can't let it break you down. These things can break certain people, but you kind of just move on.
It
was a great time. So like, there was plenty of like energy to kind of still feed on, and go on and try and figure out something else. So it was tough.
I guess since the internet, it's probably listened to a lot more now, right?
That's what I was going to say. At least you got to finish the album, and it's out there now.
It's on Spotify, and it's
but I mean, it's just a pity that it didn't get the push it should have got at the time. Because there was a couple of good.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah. It's a bit more. I think it's a bit kind of more poppy and a bit more. Had more mass appeal, if anything. If I'm a record company accountant, for me it seemed like it's a surefire hit.
Yeah, but an accountant is an accountant. He knows the value. He knows the price of everything, but the value of none.
That's true. Yeah. So when we're trying to get ready for this interview, so I mean, Pete, that's kind of a link to this. Kind of the most common kind of word that I saw was underrated. Do you feel you were underrated? Like that's the word that come up again and again, basically. I think it's true.
I feel we're underexposed.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, anything that's worth its weight has it's like a vehicle. It's got its own top speed, and you can't push any further than that. And when that sort of stuff starts to happen, like when people try to expect you to do something beyond what you actually where you're at, it's you may as well just move on. All parties just gone.
Yeah.
See ya. Like so. So yeah, I was very disappointed with One Little Indian at the end of the day, to be honest. But hey, we're still here talking.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. There's still you still got a loyal fan base, like you say. You still get messages about Compulsion all the time, so it doesn't surprise me.
I've 100% respect for what we did, and I will always support it. While trotting along and do my own thing at the moment. So it's just I'll never look back at it. But I just looked. Yeah, it was brilliant. That's all I can say. It was just like it was the right time, the right place, the right people, just the wrong record companies.
Yeah, you played Phoenix Festival, didn't you? When that was going, was that 90? Yeah. When was that?
94, was it?
Or
95.
We did quite a few. We did Phoenix maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I think.
How was that? A bit different to the hot and sweaty sort of club gigs. How was playing in front of a huge audience in the field?
And the last one we did, the last festival we did was Reading, which was
right.
Which was I don't know what. I know it was filmed, but I've never seen any footage of it.
Yeah, there must be somewhere.
There has to be, unless of course they were pointing the cameras and saying, "Oh, the Irish guys just switched the camera off." Oh, that's the Irish band. Sorry. Have a coffee, lad.
But yeah, I think you've already seen this, but we did get a question from. It was in your group, I think, actually. I think you have already
Question
read
from the Facebook group. This is, by the way.
Yeah. So this is David Blackburn. Do you know?
No.
Nah. Okay. Well, he asked, would there be any chance of any gigs in the future? He said it'd be incredible to see you guys play again. Would that ever be on the cards? You guys getting back together, or?
I doubt it. I doubt it very much. I think there's far too much water going under the bridge, and everyone has got families and stuff, And,
it's different, right?
Everyone's doing other things, and after such a long time, I think it might be just a little bit alien to us.
I think sometimes it's just best to just leave it where it was in that moment in time, and let people remember it.
Yeah.
That's I think sometimes reunions are good, but often they're not.
Yeah, well, I think reunions are like the ones that go well are really well organized, and I don't think that it's like they may seem like they come together so nice and easy, but it's not that easy to regroup and
yeah. I mean, I know the Senseless Things did it really well with their shows at the the Astoria. Ben said
that's gone now.
Yeah, Ben said that those shows went down really well, but I think
live band.
Yeah, they were a super band, but bass player, Morgan, insane.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much. You want to ask the final question, though, Neil?
Yeah,
we ask the same question to everyone.
This is a bit of a feature, just a question we ask everyone. If you could have been in any other band at the time, who would it have been and why?
Oh, that's a good one. Who would it have been and why? Let me see. Oh, crikey. I don't know. Let me see. I don't know. Stereolab.
Oh, okay.
I have a friend. One of my good friends, Paul Tippler, he produced all that stuff as well. So, Stereolab, fantastic. I really like that vibe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. I'd be happy playing on the stage with those guys.
Yeah. But I mean, you've got a load of guitars behind you and a keyboard. Do you?
You're still busy.
Are you for yourself, or is it part of your job nowadays? Or
no, well, I'm doing some music at the moment, so I'm just about. Well, I should have a record coming out this year. Put that way.
Oh wow,
great stuff.
Yeah,
great.
And it's something that I've been kind of fishing around for the last couple of years. Basically during COVID, I got to play my guitar again, and started kind of messing around with it, and I finally shook off all the cobwebs, and now I feel like I'm playing better than I've ever played before. So I'm going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, why not?
So now I'm working with a bunch of guys that are all pretty cool. So drummer from the Godfathers, remember the Godfathers?
Yeah.
Playing Grant Nicholas. So we got something coming out this year.
Cool. Has the band got a name?
Yeah.
Fakes.
Okay.
Fake. Yes, just fakes.
We'll keep an eye out for it for sure. And an ear.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate
thanks,
it.
man.
It's amazing. It's great.
Well, it's good to see you guys. Good to meet you.
You too, man. So there we go. Sid Rainey from Compulsion. What a great interview. I really enjoyed that one. Dave, you weren't in the interview. First thoughts?
Yeah, I got a couple of notes. It was really good. I really enjoyed it, as ever. I had a note saying, what were they doing in America? But Luke covered that before. And also, he mentioned 2 exclusive tracks that he promised. And I was hoping you might have got them. But
Well, we're going to try and grab them off him. Hopefully we can get them before this goes out.
But also that strawberry anecdote, I still don't think I understood it. So maybe you could explain about the strawberries a bit.
So they got in trouble for eating strawberries for breakfast. They thought they were taking a piss by like eating like expensive strawberries.
Being like rock star divas. It's got to be cheaper than like a continental breakfast, haven't it?
Yeah. But yeah, they just fancied some strawberries, and they took it as them, being like these divas demanding strawberries for breakfast.
One other thing was the that gig, the Atlanta gig with 27. I thought it was really nice how he let them all come up. They all had the gig on the stage and were sitting together.
Yeah, like I said to him in the interview, sometimes with those situations, you've just got to embrace it, make the most out of it, haven't you? And that's what they did.
And my takeaways just seem like as always, just a really nice, really open kind of guy, you know, really willing to share his stories, and it's amazing to listen to, really.
Yeah, he said he doesn't do many interviews, which surprised me because I thought it was a great interviewee. He's a great storyteller, and he had some great stories to tell, I thought.
Yeah, imagine being like flown over to LA when you're like 18, 19 years old and being put in a studio, you know, being given like, you know, all the time you need. Just it's incredible, right?
Like you said, you don't really think about it at the time. It's what's happening at the time, and you just go with it. But yeah, what an experience for an 18-year-old, like you say. Going to Sunset. Was it Sunset? Well, I can't remember what studio they went to, but...
It's Ocean Drive, I think, was the name of it.
Isn't that a Lighthouse Family song, Dave?
Don't know.
Neil, how about you? Takeaways?
One of the reasons we've started this podcast is we wanted to hear, you know, stories from bands back in the day. Stories that people don't necessarily know about and that take us back to that time. I just think he did that perfectly. I just think he took us on a journey through that band's career, the trajectory of that band and what happened and how it all sort of came to an end, which again was quite interesting, I thought.
Well, I was going to say that, like the brutality of the music industry in the 90s, even like indie labels just came through strongly, right?
Yeah, like you said like the future is medium. Like it should have been a massive album, and you know, maybe more commercially viable than Comforter, but they just said, no, not going to bother.
So what did they do? Just not spend any money on marketing it or something?
Yeah, they released it, but yeah, no one knew that they'd really released it. It was just no marketing, zero sort of promotion, which is how bad, especially back then, it's the only way people found out about it. There's no internet, was there? So, you know, on the record shelves, but in the Compulsion section, but not out front sort of thing. So people didn't really know about it. It's a real shame.
Yeah,
maybe it was too grungy for 96. That was the height of the Lighthouse as well, 96.
If you want to talk about Lighthouse Family, we can, Dave. That's fine.
I mean, no one could compete with them at the time, mate. It's you know.
There was no real point in releasing anything around the time of whenever Lighthouse Family had a release.
They just steamrolled over all competitors, didn't they?
You know, record companies just thought, fuck, we haven't got the Lighthouse Family, so what's the point?
I thought it was quite interesting when you asked, would they ever play together again? It wasn't like maybe. It was definite no, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I kind of like that in a way.
Oh, but it sounds like it was all very amicable between the band members. And like you say, like, you know, the idea of the band as a gang, and that came across, which is one of the things I really like in bands that can pull that off, you know. And I think that was kind of part of the reason why, like he said, he didn't want to go back to play music if it wasn't going to be with the same people, right? It wasn't going to be part of that gang. And I guess you can't recreate, you know, that 30 years later when you're in your mid-50s or whatever, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Even if you get the same four people back together in a room, it's not the same moment in history, is it? The context is all different. Yeah, people have got different lives. They've got families. They've moved on, different jobs. And it's just not... You can never recreate those heady days of being a teenager in an up-and-coming band, can you?
Well, almost every band does do it, don't they? They try and reform and go and get some more money on tour.
Yeah, but how many of them actually pull it off? To be fair, like a lot of the bands that we've been chatting to or are going to chat to on this podcast have managed it, like Neds Atomic Dustbin. You know, Wonderstuff are still going.
EMF, yeah, and they do it well. Yeah.
So maybe I'm just talking shit.
As usual. I thought it was interesting. He kind of rejected the being lumped in with a new wave of the new wave.
Yeah.
I mean, that's understandable, right? It's understandable.
Well, just because it didn't really mean anything, I guess.
It did to me, man. It did to me.
I guess if you're in a band at the time and you get lumped in something that sounds so meaningless and superficial, you're just going to think, nah, I'm not having that.
No one likes to be lumped.
No. I just have really fond memories of that Comforter album. I had it on a lot in those times. It hasn't really got a bad tune on it, as I remember. I used to play it from start to finish. All killer, no filler. I thought it was quite interesting what he said about how Compulsion, it was the four of them, and without the sum of all those parts, it's not the same band. So, Dave, imagine if one of or the other of Lighthouse family left. They couldn't be the Lighthouse family anymore, could they?
No, it's not a family, is it?
Exactly.
Are they a family?
Exactly.
Are they a family, though?
Yeah.
They're like family to you, aren't they?
Well, to each other.
Do they live in a lighthouse?
I'm not engaging with that.
Do you see them as father figures, do you think?
Do you take their lyrics and that's how you live your life according to those sort of values?
Not engaging.
Really, I seriously want to know, do you think they do live in a lighthouse?
You're just showing your ignorance about lighthouses.
Well, tell us.
No one lives in them anymore. They're all automated, which just shows how ridiculous the question is.
I apologise and I withdraw my question.
That's it for this episode. We hope you've enjoyed the interview with Sid. We did. We thought it was a really good one. Next week is our next Wang. Wang number 2, episode number 9. So definitely tune in for that one. If you are listening, then please do leave a review, give us a rating or whatever you need to do wherever you're listening.
Subscribe.
And subscribe, yeah, do all that, follow, whatever it is. If you're watching on YouTube, then please do subscribe to the channel. Give it a like and leave a comment below. Tell us your favourite Compulsion song or give us your Compulsion memories. Let's get conversation started in the comments about Compulsion.
Don't forget the mixtape. Have a listen to that after the interview. Stick the mixtape up on.
Yeah, don't forget that bloody mixtape. They really are good. Dave loves them, don't you, Dave?
Yeah, love it. Highlight of every Thursday when it comes out for me.
So that's it for this one. Dave, wrap this baby up.
We'll see you in a minute.